Let's dive in quick. More gems of the sacred wisdom. I'm bringing you the Gospel of Thomas from the NAG Hammadi scriptures and a book of secrets. Just some downloads I've been having. So this all started with kind of writing along the lines of embracing opposites, the transmutation of resistance, the making of two into one, balancing the poles to be filled with light. Ultimately, this comes from the Hermetic teachings on the idea of formlessness, to become one with the light, one with the sun state. And today I've been making some master blueprints on a lot of different things as I'm preparing for this series on the gems of sacred wisdom, trying to distill these texts. And the dialogue of the Savior really got me thinking about a lot of different things, because it ties so closely in to hermetics in a lot of different ways. But without further ado, we're going to be diving into the Gospel of Thomas, my friends. And while I was, writing down this blueprint, I was thinking about this gospel. I haven't looked into it for a while. Oh, there it is. And I flipped right open to it. So we're going to be looking into one specific passage right here that really ties into a lot of different things when it comes to the nature of our etheric, astral, and physical bodies, as well as the mysteries of Christ, the Christ impulse, the operation of the sun, and of course, the Hermetic Philosophy. So, ultimately, this video is kind of an intro into the Gospel of Thomas and some of these ideas around this whole theme of formlessness that is so prevalent in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Hermetica and Corpus Hermeticum, and in fact all teachings of Hermes, and is very prevalent in the more hidden esoteric teachings of Jesus, the true teachings of the living Jesus, and that's what we're going to be diving into. So, let's do this thing. Okay, so, we could read from so many different lines of amazingness in the Gospel of Thomas. Highly recommended this read. Let's just start at the back real quick, and then we're going to move straight to this mysterious passage, which I didn't understand for a long time until recently. So let's start here. The Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge, and they themselves have hidden them. Neither have they entered nor allowed those in the process of entering to enter. As for you, be as shrewd, be as clever as a snake, and innocent as a dove. Be as clever as a serpent and innocent as a dove, my friends, because the mysteries out here, they have been revealed. All shall be revealed in the latter days. Okay? And we'll see what Jesus has to say on that. Seek and you shall find. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, as they might throw them in the manure pile. And do not throw the pearls to the swine, and so that they make mud of it. My friends, these kinds of teachings, which we're going to be diving into here, is the esoteric teachings, these mystery teachings. And for a long time, they've always had to be kept secret, right? The esoteric initiations only from the master to the student of the initiated, right? And until now, because, like I said, all shall be revealed, and this is the time of revelation, my friends. Welcome to the end times. Scriptures like the NAG Hammadi, all the gnostic texts, the lost gospels of the Bible. Furthermore, the hidden teachings of the Tao, the ancient alchemist writings, and so many sacred texts have been released, such as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Dead Sea Scrolls, all of this in the past 100 years. And guess what? We have it all at our fingertips right now. You have all of this information, all of the sacred wisdom that's been hidden, pillaged, and burned for millennia at your fingertips, right? So that's the whole purpose of this series, Gems of the Sacred Wisdom, is truly to distill profound pieces in this vast pile of information to further inspire us to look down this path and make some broad connections. Okay, so again, this is an intro into some of the hermetics, which we'll be diving into later. But let us use the keys and the tools to reveal that which is hidden. Okay, Gospel of Thomas, verse 22 on 142. Jesus saw some babies nursing. He said to his disciples, "These nursing babies are like those who enter the kingdom." My friends, babies, the state of rebirth, right? The twice born is those who enter the kingdom when they have returned once again and come full cycle to the child. We can go much deeper into this, but when you make the two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower. My friends, this is all referring to the idea of making the two into one and essentially becoming one with the sun state. To make the two into one, the outer like the inner, the inside like the outside, is the operation of the sun, okay? The operation of the sun, I've made mystery teachings on this, but the sun works. Okay, first off, the Emerald Tablet of Hermes is a description of the operation of the sun. And the sun works by essentially breathing in that which is outside of it, right? Allowing it to permeate and enter and equalize with that which is inside, right? Pulling it, all things outside through the center of transmutation, and then allowing all things to release and exit, right? It is permeating this barrier between the inside and the outside, and allowing this ocean of ether that is all around everything, that is this permeating field, to move through it, and in fact become a vessel, a portal, a solar point for that light to funnel through. To make the outside like the inside, and the inside like the outside, and the above like the below, is to become the vessel, right? Allowing all things to move, being one with the Tao, essentially. And this gets into this new meditation technique I've discovered recently, and I call it the seven-way breath. Okay, if you think about it, there's 7 directions, right? We have the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis right here, right? So we have up, down, left, right, forward, backwards. Those are 6 directions, and then bringing all directions into center is the 7th. Okay. To breathe in 7 directions, right? To make the upper like the lower, and the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, is to take a full breath, the holy breath. Go into my mystery teachings on the operation of the sun and the idea of the whole breath, because these are very valuable when it gets into the word of the living Jesus, when he's talking about making the two into one. And of course, this is straight hermetics. Jesus taught hermetics, okay? This is the esoteric philosophy. So let's go deeper into this passage. And again, this is an intro into Hermeticism and much more deeper teachings. This passage caught my eye tonight at 11:33. I thought I'd dive in. So, when you make the male and the female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female. My friends, that is a straight description of Kundalini. Kundalini is the process of unifying the divine masculine and divine feminine. Essentially, my friends, we have 2 forces within us, okay? And these 2 forces are represented by the sun and the moon, the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, okay? And these forces are at war with each other. They're essentially in resistance because they're not ordered and balanced. When we can learn and identify, right, by separating them and then unifying them and allowing them to merge, we can unify these into this process of rising the Kundalini or the Shakti, right? The 2 unified waves. My friends, the symbol of the 7th chakra is in fact the symbol of divine unification between the divine masculine and feminine. That is the expression of the 7th chakra. That is how, that is illumination. When you know the G, the generative principle, the law of gender, right? The G in Masonic compass, this is the key to everything, my friends. It's all about the G, making the 2 into 1 and the male and the female into one, right? Balancing the poles. So, well, I just lost my flashlight, but I'm going to continue on. When you make, so this is the thing I really wanted to get into. This is what inspired this video, and some Rudolf Steiner type stuff. So, here we go. When you make eyes in the place of an eye, a hand in the place of a hand, and a foot in the place of a foot, an image in the place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom. Whoa. So I read this text probably 10 times for the past 2 years, and this has just jumped out at me based off some recent teachings I've been diving deep into and getting downloads on. So this all has to do with almost there. Rudolf Steiner, my friends, and his lecture series on the Egyptian mysteries and the Christ impulse, okay? Within this lecture and his anthroposophy lectures, he really goes in depth describing the etheric, the astral, and the physical bodies, and the ego, and the ego's role in fact, permeating, shaping, and forming the other three bodies. So essentially, my friends, your values, your morals, right? How you breathe, your meditation and ways of thought all form and get imprinted upon these three bodies. The astral is the intermediator, kind of carrying things from the physical to the etheric, and etheric to the physical. We don't need to go too deep into this kind of anatomy, but what we are going to talk about is what Miguel Serrano and many other deep esotericists have touched on, such as Manly P. Hall, Rudolf Steiner, and Miguel Serrano, on forming the etheric senses. So man once existed well in touch with the astral and etheric senses, these spiritual organs per se, right? But as man descended into greater density, as man's ego and waking consciousness slowly overtook him in this descent into the Kali Yuga on the turn of the Great Wheel, we essentially lost these spiritual organs. And the path to spiritual, knowing, the path to God gnosis, as Hermes like to say, is the complete knowledge of the spiritual realms, how to know higher worlds, okay? And to do this, it is essentially to give life back to the etheric body. You must shape and, in fact, bring into being the etheric body and the senses. You must reform these. This is what ancient initiation was. Ancient initiation was these practices that threw you far off this limiting belief system of what you've been brought up on. But furthermore, it had many applications, but one of the primary things ancient initiation would have done was give you techniques for concentration and meditation that helped you, in fact, overcome the 5 physical senses and start tapping into the etheric. This is what my energy work videos help do, and a lot of other teachings you can find out here, right? All of these different types of higher meditation and higher realms work is to give life, form, and shape back to the etheric body, right? And give it that sense, that spiritual sense, right? Clairvoyance, clairsentience, yada, yada, yada. So when he says to, you must make eyes in the place of an eye, a hand in the place of a hand, and a foot in the place of a foot, an image in the place of an image, he is talking about this is purely done in the energetic and realms of subtle awareness, okay? This is done when I talk about breathing through your mind. It is a very physical sensation. When you learn how to breathe with your mind, the second breath, the etheric breath, right? So essentially, my friends, Jesus and these higher esoteric teachings are describing the path to awakening the spiritual body, to in fact start breathing again with the pulse of the universe and allowing the sun or the operation of the sun to take place within you, okay? When you can unify the energies and allow flow, right, and start breathing and being both spiritually and physically so that the etheric can in fact incarnate and become immortal here. This is the pathway to the immortal soul, essentially, right? And awakening your spiritual, the beautiful spiritual life within, right? So I hope you got something from that and further understand what it means when he talks about making eyes in the place of an eye. This is all done in the mind, in deep concentration and different schools and disciplines of initiation, okay? And then you will enter the kingdom. I shall choose you, 1 from 1,000, and 2 from 10,000, and they shall stand as a single one. This is furthermore talking about what this process that goes on within you. I don't fully comprehend this, what he was trying to get across here, but I do know that most of this is trying to get you to realize that we are separated and fractured within us. And this separation, this resistance, doesn't allow our energy to flow or spiral because it is at war with itself. We must align the forces within, right? This actually does elaborate upon what we were just talking about. Blessed is the one who came into being before coming into being. This is talking about bringing the etheric or spiritual nature into being. My friend, man, the Son of Man, which you and everyone out here has the potential to become, the Son of Man is essentially a mortal man, right, who kindled the flame of divinity and immortality within his soul, and rose and ascended, because fire ascends to fire, and rose towards God until he became one with the Father in him, and him in the Father, a pulsing, living Son out here, right? The Son of Man. The Son of God is the opposite direction. The Son of God descends. This would be something like I'm not sure, Archangel Michael or something coming down and physically incarnating, being a son of God, right? The Son of Man. To come into being before coming into being is essentially to breathe life back into the higher bodies, right? The things that underlie the physical reality. My friends, all things we see out here is illusions. It's smoke and mirrors, right? And if you, the physical body that relies on the physical body is destined to destruction, my friends. It is to essentially know the higher realms by developing and materializing your etheric form there through these practices that they taught in the ancient initiations. So that was just another tie-in. Obviously the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys. We're bringing them back. They can't bring down these frequencies we be riding on. Nah. So moving on. Let's see if there's anything else real interesting in here. There are many standing at the door, but those who are standing alone will enter the wedding chamber. Those who are standing alone will enter the wedding chamber. This gets into these deep mysteries of more, which is loveless love, which is the path of the warrior, right? And these deeper mysteries of the divine union within thyself and the return to wholeness, right? The divine twin souls. For all you warriors out there, sons of fire, blessed are you when you are hated and persecuted. No place will be found wherever you have been persecuted. Blessed are they who have been persecuted in their hearts. They are the ones who have truly come to know the Father. Blessed are they who are hungry, that the stomach of the person in want may be filled. Blessed are those who are hated, my friends. There very few will know the kingdom. That's all I'm saying. And finally, let's wrap it up right here. I wanted to get to this one, verse 99. They said to him, "Tell us, who are you, so that we may believe in you?" He said to them, "Examine the face of the heaven and earth. You have not come to know the one who is in your presence, and you do not know how to examine the present moment. Jesus, without these teachings and some of his more obscure teachings like the Dialogue of the Savior, the Gospel, whatever, yada, 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 really was huge on this idea of the present moment, right? An expansion of the awareness and breath into that moment, right? When you know how to examine the present moment, and you know and can see that which is in front of your face, you will step into the kingdom. The kingdom will be realized. The revelation will occur because the kingdom exists all around you. Don't look to the skies, or else the birds will precede you. And don't look to the seas for the kingdom, or else the fish will precede you. Nah, the kingdom is within. Whoever is near me is near the fire. My friends, the fire, the element of fire, is correspondent to the spiritual force, the spiritual flame, right? Earth, physical, water, emotional, air, mental, or like thoughts. Mental goes to the quintessence, but fire is the spiritual. It's one below the divine quintessence, right? Whoever is near me is near the fire. This has two applications. You ever heard of the prophecy of purification by cosmic fire? We're going to get into the prophecies and tying a lot of different things together between the ancient texts. Let me know if you're excited for that one. Bada boom, bada boom. And I think I'm going to be wrapping up with that. Finally, when you make the two into one, my friends, you will become children of humanity. And when you say mountain, move from here, it will move. When you make the two into one, my friends, you just tapped into the angelic language of light. When you make the two into one, your will and the Father's will are one and the same. The Father and you and the Father. When you make the two into one, you are breathing with the universal pulse, and your etheric, spiritual body is alive, is reconnected, tapped into all that Akashic records, knowledges, and like divine energy, right? When you make the two into one, you will say to the mountain, move from here, and it will move. The Kabbalistic man incarnate. Blessed is the person who knows at what point the robbers are going to enter, so that he may arise, bring together his estate, and arm himself before they enter. We're going to leave it with that. This is referring to this archonic force out here. Most people, they get kind of triggered when you start talking about a they or some kind of negative force out here. My friends, just look around. Obviously, something's working on the people. Furthermore, you can dive into Manly P. Hall, Rudolf Steiner on the moonfuckery and these fallen angels and the archons. You can dive into the Emerald Tablets and read about the Brothers of Darkness who walk through the dreams of man unseen because they have control of the astral bodies, right? Furthermore, yeah, it just goes on and on and on with the moon fuckery, with the astral fuckery, and the archons. And I will be making a video on this because the Dialogue of the Savior goes deep, real deep, into the archons and fear. And fear is the power of darkness, my friends. So I'm going to leave you with that. Hells yeah. Thanks for watching. This was another Gems of the Sacred Wisdom Unveiled. It's your boy Dmitrius out here with the Book of Keys and the Book of Secrets. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you liked about that, where I could dive in next. Get ready for the Gospel Dialogue of the Savior, probably coming up next, as well as very, very deep analysis of the Colburn Bible and probably the 10 different separate esoteric or mystery teachings within the Colburn. So, yep, I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you for watching. Oh, and let me know if you really want me to dive into the Gospel of Thomas, because I have all these notes written on it, but I was kind of, I don't know, just saving those for a rainy day. I also have massive blueprints on the Colburn and Hermeticism, which we're going to get into. So anyway, stay tuned. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.